Hello. Well, ALQST's annual report is a mine of information gathered by our researchers in London and elsewhere from our extensive network of contacts inside Saudi Arabia. These are brave and determined men and women and their long-suffering families. The report offers a detailed timeline of events that took place over the course of 2018 and our latest assessment of the situation on a number of important human rights issues: freedom of expression, freedom of assembly and association, women's rights, workers' rights, the right of asylum, the plight of stateless persons, the Bidoon, prisoners of conscience, the Saudi prison system, the use of the death penalty, and the use of torture. Incidentally, that is something that never went away, but there has been an alarming comeback of torture in 2018. Two new topics that we report on in detail this year for the first time are enforced disappearances and the targeting of dissidents abroad by means of cyber surveillance, arrests and harassment of their family members back home, and even assassination. The report describes the human rights situation at the beginning of 2019 as at an all-time low. Saudi Arabia was never free or democratic, but in 2018 the situation got worse on several counts. One was the sheer scale of waves of mass arrests. Another was the targeting and torture of women's rights defenders, which of course contradicts the intended message of the lifting of the ban on women driving. Then there were executions. The annual report wasn't able to give an exact figure for the number of executions carried out in 2018. We put the figure at around 150, but the trend at the beginning of 2019 is pretty grim. In January alone, there were 23 executions, including 6 carried out in the past week. The latest being a Pakistani man yesterday, a Filipino woman executed on Tuesday, and 4 Yemeni nationals on Sunday. And now the public prosecutor is calling for the death penalty for peaceful activists like Isra al-Khumkham from the eastern province and the reformist cleric Salman al-Auda. Finally, we had the state-sponsored assassination of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi in October in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. And it's a shame on all of us that this one man's death, however shocking and brutal, should have created far more outrage internationally than the thousands of deaths in the Yemen war, which is now 4 years old, where the Saudi-led coalition's actions, the alleged war crimes on all sides, have contributed to the world's worst humanitarian catastrophe. They say that the darkest hour comes just before dawn. Can we see any glimmer of hope in the current situation? ALQST's annual report explains that the Saudi authorities have been able to do all this because of the favourable international environment, the backing they have from powerful allies with whom they have massive financial and business interests, and the votes whenever they need them in the United Nations forums and elsewhere from poor countries that depend on Saudi foreign aid. But we think the situation may be beginning to change and that this year's outrages may be starting to tilt public opinion in favour of real pressure on the Saudi authorities to reform and to respect human rights and basic freedoms. Yeah.
Thank you very much.